So there's four types of people I want to talk to today, right? Number one, I want to talk to my empathetic people. I want to talk to my people pleasers. I want to talk to my people who have attachment issues. And I want to talk to my people who are scared of conflict. All right. Now, as most of y'all know, Kendrick Lamar has this song called Cut You Off. And the whole premise of the song, and this is really early, this is on Overly Dedicated. So this is like 2010. Kendrick is talking about how he has this vision about where he's going, and he has this vision for the life that he's creating, right? He has this vision for how he wants to live. And a lot of that is aligned with shedding light, positivity, bringing light to the world, um, learning himself on a deeper level, creating ideas, just things of that nature. But he's surrounded by people who aren't operating on that same frequency or on that same level. So being around them and having conversations and having these talks with them is putting a damper on his energy. Now, that song is a lot deeper than it sounds because every single second you're creating your reality. You feel what I'm saying? Every single second that you living on this earth, you're creating your reality. For example, you ever like had a certain routine for a month straight, like during the morning, or a certain routine that you had, and then you switch that routine and all of a sudden your days start changing, right? The second you change that morning routine, now the rest of your day looks different than it has for the last month. Well, that's because you shifted your reality, right? You shifted your timeline by changing what you were doing. That's the same thing with conversations, going out with people, all these different things. Um, it's the same thing. So, what we're about to talk about is protecting your energy. And I'm not talking about from the space of, because I think in society today, we have this whole thing of like, oh yeah, like I'll cut you off. I'll just cut you off fast. The second you feel like, I feel like you, I'll cut you off. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like genuinely protecting your energy, not being afraid of relationship, right? Not being afraid of the difficulties that come with relationship. We're not talking about that type of cutting people off. We talking about knowing exactly what you want with your life, that vision, and then putting yourself in position to constantly remain in that frequency, right? So I know there's a whole lot of y'all watching this video that probably going through the same experience. You probably got somebody or somebodies or that are in your life, right? That clearly are not operating on the same frequency as you. And that don't mean that that y'all don't think the same things. That's not what I'm talking about, or whatever, or y'all have to be operating at the exact same frequency all the time. But I know there's some people in your life that just bring a damper to it, right? That might, like, you hang out with them or you be around them and all of a sudden you can feel your frequency or your energy dwindling, right? You might leave and be replaying certain stuff or whatever. You feel me? And that's why I broke this down into sections, because for my empathetic people out there, right? For all my empaths, I know y'all have a difficulty cutting people off or removing yourself from certain situations and people because you feel deeply, right? You don't want somebody to feel like they're abandoned. You don't want nobody to feel like you left them behind. You don't want nobody to feel like you did something. You don't want to feel like you hurt somebody. You don't want to hurt somebody. You know what that feels like. You don't want that person to experience that. So in the same token, you're sacrificing your own mental well-being in order to maintain this relationship that you know is dwindling you, right? This is the thing. On the other side of that empathy, right, is you got to have some empathy for self as well, right? You got to be able to look at yourself and say, what is it that I desire in my life? And is this relationship or this activity or this environment, is that conducive to that reality? And if the answer is no, you have a couple options. Well, I could bring this up. I can make it clear. I can make a statement. I can have a conversation. Or I can remove myself in this relationship or distance myself in this relationship. And I know that's a difficult thing to do because you don't want nobody to feel like that. But the thing is, on the other side of that, right? On the other side of that reality is typically your blessings. So I feel like everybody comes onto earth with like these certain superpowers. Like empathy is a superpower. And the higher it is, the higher your superpower, right? So, but on the other side of that, it could like regardless, it could be a crux or it could be something that hurts you or it could be something that helps you. And your empathy doesn't mean that you need to have proximity to people. It doesn't mean that that person has to be in your energy, has to be in your circle, has to be in your face. You can love people from afar, you can love people from a distance, but just know that in this time currently, we do not align. Where I want to go and what I'm creating for my life does not align with you. It doesn't align with our conversations. It doesn't align with our frequency. It doesn't align with, you know, I can tell that I'm being pulled back into something, or I'm being pulled back into something I used to be, or I'm being pulled into something I don't want to be, or whatever. And it's not like you got to completely cut people off, but keeping your respectable distance, there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes in life, you're going to make people upset, you're going to make people feel bad. But if you know your intentions are pure, then you don't need to beat yourself up about removing yourself from certain situations and people. You don't need to do that. You don't need to feel like you are the savior or the rescuer of everybody. That's not your responsibility. Like, you are responsible for your life. You are responsible for what you create and what you provide to this world. So don't beat yourself up because you feel like you don't want to hurt this person or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, life is limitless. If they get on your type of timing, they'll come back. You'll naturally be attracted back to each other when they get back on your type of timing, if you want to maintain that relationship. But you got to remember, don't let your empathy put you in a position where you're always last, because then you're going to look up and you will be last. You feel what I'm saying? So, yeah, don't let your empathy be the reason that you in a fucked up situation. You feel me? Now, I also want to talk to my people pleasers, okay? Because there's a lot of people pleasers out there who don't want to disconnect from people or situations or environments because they want to please the people that are in that environment. The number one thing that you got to ask yourself is why? Why are you concerned with pleasing these people in the first place? Why are you concerned with pleasing this person? Why is pleasing this person more important than your mental being? There's a lot of conversations that can be had there. Is it self-sabotage? Is it a lack of self-esteem? Do you not feel worthy of living that reality? Do you not feel worthy of stepping into the authentic timeline that's been created for you? Why are you more concerned with pleasing people than living the life that was granted for you? Why are you more concerned with maintaining friendships and relationships that do not align with the frequency that you're creating for your life or that you envision for your life? Why? You get to start there. Why? Why am I doing this? Where is it coming from? And it's one thing to be supportive. It's one thing to want to support people and be there for people and want people to shine and want to and you know all the good things. It's one thing to be that. It's another thing to be that at the expense of your own mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. That's not you're not like, you know what I'm saying? If I'm up, there's people pleasers, y'all got like savior energy too. Like, you're not a savior for sacrificing yourself for the well-being of another person at the expense of your own mental well. Now, I'm not saying there are some scenarios where you could do that for people and it's noble, but if that's the way that you live your life, just like the empathetic people, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be last, and the people that you sacrifice for are not going to be there. They're going to be walking around with the gold medal. You see what I'm saying? And you don't need a gold medal. but you need a medal, right? That medal being a representation of your fulfillment in life. You don't need the gold medal, but you should get a medal. And that medal meaning you feel fulfilled in life. And you can't be fulfilled or feel fulfilled if your whole life is predicated to pleasing others. Sometimes you gotta cut that person off. Sometimes that person is not healthy for you. Sometimes that person is going to be the very reason you don't step into the timeline that was crafted for you in this world. And it's way better to just to respectfully end that relationship and move forward than it is to be laying on your deathbed um being regretful because you didn't step into your timeline. You see what I'm saying? So there's that. Now I want to talk to my people who are afraid of conflict. Okay. The funny thing about the people who are afraid of conflict, right? And I want to make this clear. Definitely choose your battles. Nobody's saying at the second that the opportunity of conflict arises, jump into it. No, you get to know which battles are worth fighting and what battles are not worth fighting. Right? You get to understand like some things just aren't worth your time and energy getting involved in. Right? But sometimes conflict is going to be mandatory in order for you to step into your new timeline. There are a lot of y'all who want to end relationships with people, but you know that once you do, they might go crazy. They might try to sabotage you. They might try to ruin your reputation. They might try to destroy your stuff. They might try to be petty. They might try to do whatever, right? And that's the reason that you're allowing yourself to be stuck in a cage with this person or people's. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's your mom, your dad, your granddad, your grandma, sometimes it's that. Sometimes you like, damn, like this family, I can't, boom, boom. But listen, big dog, sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes you get the distance. Now, the people who are afraid of conflict don't understand that typically your greatest timeline is on the other side of that conflict. Right? Now, you do get to check yourself when you're within that conflict. Right? You do definitely want to check yourself. You don't want to get into that conflict and then walk away with all type of smudges and dirt from things that you've inflicted and given. If you're telling the truth to somebody about your experience, right? And your experience of their place in your life and what they've done and been to you in your experience, there's nothing to feel bad about there. That's you telling your truth. Your delivery is important, all that different stuff, but if you handle that in a responsible manner, you feel what I'm saying? There's nothing for you to be worried about. Like, damn, like they gonna be they can do everything they want, man. If they want to ruin your reputation or whatever, in my mind, look, I know a lot of people say, don't let people ruin your reputation. Boom, boom. In my opinion, if somebody can take something from you, it wasn't yours. If somebody can harm your reputation and it's out of your control, it was like the people that they were telling it's not if somebody say something about you and the people that they say it to don't come talk to you, man, they was waiting to buy in on your reputation. So what's the point even worrying about it? What's the point even worrying about it? There's no point of even thinking about it because that was inevitable. That was inevitable. The people who really love you and really support you, if they hear something about that or they hear something about you or whatever, they're going to come talk to you about it. And if they don't, so be it. That's how you got to look at conflict in general. There will be consequences, but what role did you play in how far this relationship got? If this person is in a position to destroy you or in a position to do harm to you, why did you allow this relationship to go so far? You played a role in that. So you can also take responsibility of all the mess and dirt that's going to come from it. The last people that I want to talk about, okay, is the people with the attachment issues. All right. Now there's so many different forms of attachment issues, right? And obviously when we start talking about the extreme cases, just like the last thing, These are rare situations that aren't that one explanation or advice can't really solve, right? But for the ones that are solvable, and you know what exactly what I'm saying, you also have to understand that where is this level of attachment coming from, right? A lot of the times, y'all be thinking y'all like, you feel me, in situations where you might have a like, for example, sometimes history and the friendship might be the reason that you keep rocking with certain people. And it's like, bruh, that's not everything. Sometimes you might meet a friend and y'all ain't been friends for a long time, but that it clicks. Reality, you have to be open to possibility. You have to be in the mindset of the abundance mindset, right? Like, you got to be in a space where you know there's more for you. You know there's more friendships for you. You know there's more people who are aligned with your frequency and where you want to go in your life out there. But if you're in a lack mindset, you're going to think that these are the only friends that I got and I'm never going to be able to walk away. Like I'm only going to be able to be friends with these people. That's a lack mindset. You are literally caging yourself away from possibilities and away from the the uh the fruit of life, in my opinion. Sometimes, like, you gotta know when to draw the fucking line. And even if you love a person, sometimes it's just like, hey, I ain't gonna lie, right now we just don't align, so I'm gonna distance myself. Sometimes it's gotta be like that. Sometimes it has to be like that. Now the thing is, with some of y'all, right, it's like, I'm attached to this person because of A, B, C, and D. Automatically, you've already kind of exposed yourself in that conversation. If it has anything to do with your natural, genuine connection with this individual, you've already exposed that there's some type of what's the word? Not a deficit, but there's some type of issue there. And it's more about you and what's going on within you than it is you and that person. Facts. And that's what you get to connect with. Why am I attached? Why am I so attached that my own personal well being, my own physical well being, my own mental well being, spiritual well being is less important than my attachment to this individual? What is the reward? That's what you got to ask yourself about everything. What's the reward here? What am I being rewarded with? Right? And sometimes it might not be a physical thing, sometimes it might be a story, right? For some people, it's like, okay, if I don't stay cool with this friend forever, I'm not a loyal person. But sometimes the best show of loyalty to somebody is disconnecting yourself from that person. In reality, your loyalty, right, of course, should reside with your people. But you also get to be loyal to you, loyal to your vision, really. What is your vision for life? What is your vision? And it's consistently being around this person or in relationship with this person, um, accommodating that vision, or is it dwindling that vision? If it's dwindling that vision, you either need to cut that person off or slow or keep your distance to an extent. We all got that friend that, like, okay, like, I fuck with bruh, I fuck with sis, but I'm only gonna be around them for this. Right? This might be the fun friend. We go out and have fun, and but they might be too reckless or whatever on a day-to-day basis to always, like, you gotta, like, know your relationships and be so loyal to your vision that, yes, you water that relationship, but not to the extent where your vision is being dwindled. And sometimes attachment is getting in the way of you being loyal to that vision. So for all my people with the attachment issues, you get to go deep and find out why. Why? Where did I create this story that, oh, all of a sudden I can't, like, if I'm not attached to this person, I can't live. I can't breathe. This person is my source of water. That's not healthy. Like, yes, you want to love someone and be devoted to somebody, but like there's a difference between being devoted to somebody and being um attached to somebody to the point where you are sabotaging yourself. There's a complete difference there. One is a choice. One is a choice. The other is a means of survival. Facts. And if your relationship with this person is a means of survival, you need to check yourself and figure out what's going on here. Real shit. So yeah, that's the video. Honestly, um, I had no script, so you feel me? Like this is coming straight from my person. So this coming straight from the, you know, from source. So, um, I know it's probably gonna be some things in there that some of y'all don't agree with or whatever, but hey, that's life. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Mr. Morale reaction dropping today on Patreon. So y'all tap in with that. You feel what I'm saying? The Patreon only $5. So yeah. I'm gonna catch y'all, man. Y'all have a great day.